And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. My name is Zach Allison with ATS. I'm the National Accounts Manager and regular host of our ATS University that we've been running for the last few years here. Our ATS University sessions are more of a product-focused, detailed overview of many of the different manufacturers that are on the ATS spec tool. If this is your first ATS University, we do a wide range of topics from sizing or barrier-free aspects of certain products that are available on the spec tool, all the way to more conceptual overviews of, say leak defense systems or, general concepts around the plumbing and architectural accessory aspects of, our industry. If you're unfamiliar with ATS, we are essentially a house of brands. We have I think about 40 different manufacturers from the HVAC world to the plumbing world to the architectural world that are all available on our spec tool. The spec tool is a free product selection software that helps you select, configure, and specify your product selections for each of your individual jobs as you go about your day to day. So hopefully it saves you some time, saves you some frustration, as sometimes getting all the right product information can leave you bashing your head against the wall. And when it comes to learning about the products, we try to support that as well, not just a website, but also helping you understand which are the right products to use for the right application. That's kind of one of the core concepts at ATS. And that can be done either online on our systems when you use our barrier-free databases or our sizing tools or our spec teams, as well as through our wonderful presentations in our ATS University sessions, where we set up lunch and learns for architects and engineers across the US and across Canada, and host these wonderful AIA accredited presentations through our partners. So with us today is one of our manufacturing partners, Daryl Burnett from the Maxability team. You guys have been doing Presslet Care for, I don't know, a number of years now. And Presslet Care and the adult change table category has really been growing in the US due to some changes in the barrier-free aspect of the regulations and requirements. So I think we're going to cover a lot of that today. I will note as well at the top of this presentation, this is an AIA accredited presentation. So if you want to send in your AIA number into the Q&A field, we will pass it along to Daryl and he will report that for your accreditation. If you are just looking for self-reporting, we do always send out a certificate of attendance at the end of the week so that you can take that certificate and report whether it's for your PDO, your CPD hours, whichever province, state you're in that it has some self-reporting, we have that available. And of course, the recorded presentation is available on the atspec.com website in our webinar or in our recorded webinar section. So you can go back and reference any points you may have missed. I'll show you at the end of the presentation how you can find those webinars, as well as how you can find, configure, and specify the products that we're discussing in the presentation. So with all that out of the way, thank you, Daryl, for joining us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and look forward to getting into this. I enjoy talking about high adjustable changing tables. That's what I do every day. And Maxability is owned by Presslet. So today I'll be talking about the Presslet products and the different types of adult size changing tables, and mostly what those tables are indicated for, because there are different tables and some of the environments are better well suited than others. As I said, Maxability is owned by Presslet. We basically function as the contact in the US. We work with a lot of different independent manufacturers, reps. We work with suppliers. We work with individuals. We do technical support. We do a lot. It's kind of crosses over a lot, but usually we do like to help out our independent agents so they can cover their territories better and cover their customers better. But as we know, it does get a little weave into each other since the changing table field is fairly new to the US. There may be some Canadians on here as well, but the ADA and the building code, everything is so different. So sometimes we do step over each other, but at the end of the day, we still try to get the table out there. So I'm going to go into this, and people can feel free to stop me anytime. And if I say something, I always like to, I even do this with my team. If I say something, I always like people to ask, give me an example, because if I can't give an example, I shouldn't talk about it. An example that I've seen, touched, or felt, or hit me in the back of the head. I usually don't speak from, I heard this, I heard that. So I like to talk about real life information on what really happens. So I'm going to share my screen.
And just as you're bringing that up, I'll reference as well. So for any questions along the way, pop them into the Q&A chat. I'll bring them up to Daryl when we get to a bit of a pause in the presentation. And I am all too familiar with that kind of like weaving that you were discussing. ATS being in its own little weird niche where all we do is provide specification support. And we are very similar to what many reps do, providing product support and specification support, but we don't get involved in the buy and sell. So trying to manage that weave as we find our own little niche is always a challenge.
Okay, so I am going to.
It was up there for a second.
It was, and 1 second. I was sharing my screen, and then that went out. So I have to get back to the sharing portion of my screen, which, maybe if I hit share. That's
the final step, the hurdle of many downfalls.
But I'm sharing, and hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I had to get back to the reality here. Let's try that again, and I'm going to share you.
And we're loading.
Looks loading. Like if I can get from the beginning.
I saw somebody was saying earlier that they had just switched over to Starlink, and that might be the answer for all of us sales reps. We got to stop relying on these large conglomerates that seem to be throttling. They're trying to hold big change table down.
I know. I do it 5 times before the call, and as soon as the call stops, my finger slips. All right. Can we see my screen?
It looks like it's still trying to load on my side. I don't know if that's now a function of my internet. Sven or any of the regulars, if you guys are seeing it, please let me know.
Yeah, it had it up there.
Yeah, canceled again.
Let me start from scratch. Share. All right, I think I got it. How is this?
There we are. Yep, okay. Looking good.
All right, so I like to call this important considerations of adult size changing tables in public restrooms, because in the US, it's kind of a new thing. I started with Maxability in 2019, and I remember when I looked on this website, Wheelchair Travel, they showed 7 airports that had adult size changing tables. And now if you look on that site, there's 18 that are posted. So it's definitely growing. Public restrooms are a big thing. And the reason why it's becoming a big thing in the US, they tried to go through each state to get regulation, and some would win, some would not. So they decided to put in the building code. So they're trying to now put in the building code for an adult public place with a certain capacity should have at least one adult size changing table. And we always ask, why an adult size changing table? Before this, I was an assistive technology professional working in the wheelchair industry. And when I left that company, they said, what are you going to sell? I said, changing tables. They said, baby changing tables? I said, no, adult size. I've never seen those. And that is the baby changing tables we've seen in men and women restrooms in every single public place that we go in the restrooms. But the adult size tables need to be in the family restrooms because they're too big for a men's or women's, and you don't want an adult size changing table in the men's or women's restroom. So we're going to talk about we're going to start talking about, I would say from the, when I say SCT or CT, that stands for shower change table versus change table. So there are some that are indicated for the showers. So one thing that we want to look at is, let's see. Okay, there we go. Why an adult size changing table? Because the baby changing tables only support a capacity of 60 pounds. And I always tell people, talk to a lot of people in Europe, I said 60 pounds for us, that could be, a second grader. But the tables need to be at least 71 inches long and 30 inches wide. And what they're trying to indicate in the building code is power height adjustment. So there's no need for lifting or hoist. In Europe, you see a lot of the hoist or the lifts over the tables. As we know in the US, that will probably not fly because people are really litigious and they're scared of people getting injured. If they don't, it's just another apparatus for someone to get hurt on. So if you had a height adjustable table, you can function quite well without a hoist or a lift, and there's less injury. But there does need to be the correct clearance at the head or foot of the table, as well as the long caregiver side. So when I talk to architects, usually I talk to architects, they call and say, oh, I've got a question for you. This. They have 2 questions. They want to get off the phone. They're done. So a lot of architects don't have time for a lot of chit chat. So I have to be very savvy and quick, or I'm going to lose them. Any architects, feel that right now? I see some smiling. I don't see you, but I feel you smiling. But we have to really get to the point. So the things that are vital to see it for a table to go in place, there's certain maybe state, local, federal, international codes that are in place. You got to have the space for it. If you don't have the space, you're not going to be able to do it. I've had people that wanted adult size changing tables and they just don't have the space. So they either have to put it in their future budgets on a larger room or to expand the current room. For an adult size table, the wall materials for that wall blocking, and I always tell folks, contractor 101, and when you are asking a contractor, as long as they know about reinforcement or wall blocking, that is an indication that they know what they're talking about. It's not just a handyman type of installation, because the tables do support a weight capacity of up to 500 pounds. Product specific information, installation drawings, you need to know what's going on, the specs, also CAD drawings, BIM files, and is it a new construction or a retrofit? When someone calls me and say, oh, I'm thinking about your tables, can you send me a list of all your tables? Almost impossible, but I kind of narrow it down. Is this table going to be in a shower or not in a shower? And being in the US and being owned by a company that's in Europe, also in Canada, you may use the term dry room or wet room or washroom. Again, in the US, didn't go so well. I say, is it a wet room or dry room? They're like, well, I guess it's dry, is protected. So I'm sorry, I have to be more specific. Is the table going to be in a shower or outside of the shower? That's a big thing to know, because that way you need to know if you have a changing table or a shower change table. There is a difference. And if it's in a dry room, why get a shower change table? You're just paying extra for overkill when you don't need the shower waterproof component. Is the room supervised? I had to watch that wording as well, because they're saying supervised. No one's standing by the room the entire time. Okay, let me be more specific. Is the public restroom locked or is it unlocked? Can heavy traffic flow through or moderate traffic go through? That could depend on the table as well, because some of the tables are mainly just for individual low volume use, and some are durable heavy duty use. And then vandal resistant. We can't really say vandal proof because really nothing is vandal proof. The only thing something can really be vandal proof is you lock it and never let anybody touch it or see it ever again, because things are made to be vandalized, especially in the US. But vandal resistant is little, it just takes more work for them to vandalize it. And basically, I like to say less moving parts. Um, those shiny things, those loose things people like to take and walk away with. So that's how we refer to as vandal resistant. Okay, so this first table I'm going to show you is a shower change Presslet 3000. It is, I like to say, the granddaddy of them all. It is a shower change table. It is made to be inside the shower, and it is really a great table for multiple uses. Um, there is volume playing, so I'm just gonna, there's just music playing in the background, but I'll talk through it. Height adjustment with the wall control. This is a hand control on this one. Fold down safety rail with use of one hand. It just turns and then you pull it outward. It just kind of comes out and under. Sometimes people think you push it back, but once you release it, it just kind of flows back underneath the table. And most tables do need to have a safety rail if they're going to be in public. As I said, this is shower. There's a water collection tray and polyurethane pads. So sometimes if these tables are in public, I don't know why, but people like to take these mats. They'll just take one pad and leave. And those pads are pretty expensive to replace. So that's why this is a wonderful table for supervised caregiving shower environment. But as we go through, we'll show if there's no shower and no public, this is overkill because there's just extra components that you don't need in a dry room. But as I said, this is the shower change table, mostly in schools where they have um, kids that can go, if they have an accident during the day, they can shower them and they can stay at school. Group homes, um, special needs facilities, that's where this is mostly indicated in these. So now if you don't need the work of a shower change table, the next one is a Presslet 2000, it can be 2000 and 2100. The only difference in those numbers are the mattress. You can have a mesh mattress is the 2000 and a coated canvas mattress is the 2100. So sometimes people will request a 2000 for an airport. I would say if it's not in the shower, please go for the durable coated canvas mattress that can be wipeable, because otherwise the mesh that you will see in this video is, it will collect a lot of dirt. Sometimes these are used in public. Let me go back. Sometimes these are used in a public space when you don't have enough space. The 3000 is 75 inches long, and some of the other tables are 72. This one's 71. So that way, if you don't have enough space, it can be used in a public dry room as well. Same design, it's not as bulky, smaller footprint on the table because it's not as thick. The side rail clips underneath, but it's not as robust because it won't take a lot of traffic as the 3000. So that insert, that mattress zips on mesh for shower, coated canvas for public wipeable use. So this is the Presslet 2000/2100.
The coated canvas that you mentioned, is it removable in the same way that the 3000 was? Is there vandal resistance there?
There is some vandal resistance, but the 3000, they're polyurethane mats. They're thick mats on a wooden background, backboard. So they're pretty heavy. So they insert, but this it zips on and it is tight. It zips on really tight on that insert. And the coated canvas is a thick coated canvas, has holes in it in case you do need to have it in the shower, but it is easily wipeable. That one, for example, is in Charlotte Airport and Washington, D.C. Airport as well.
And you mentioned the difference in lengths of the two.
Yes.
Uh, is it correct to assume that the 2000, the 2100, those are more meeting the minimum dimensional requirements for barrier free or for the building code, like you referenced?
Exactly. So I think the code is going to be around, I think it's 70. So this one is 71 inches long. And the 3000 is kind of over, it's like 75 inches long. So it's overkill, but the standard is going to be around 70. So that will meet that for an adult size table because the child tables are 55 inches long. So you can have one for children as well, which is 55 inches long. Any other questions so far?
We had a question coming in about distribution in Ontario. I'll
Yes.
just let you know that you can reach out to me, Zach at atspec.com. ATS can assist you in providing a spec for Ontario, and we'll also introduce you to the distribution agents so that you can get answers on your pricing.
Yep, that is a good question because we do have Canadian partners, and we're basically in the U.S. So we typically do not sell to Canada, and our Canadian partners typically do not sell to the U.S. So
Yeah, I've got all the connections that
yep,
you'll need for distribution.
perfect, awesome. All right. And then one level down, they call this budget friendly, but this one has really been popular lately because it's the Presslet shower change table 1000. And actually, when you see the coated canvas on this table, this mimics the coated canvas zipper mattress on the 2100. But this is like a hammock type mattress. This is really popular in children's museums that or daycare centers that don't have a lot of heavy traffic. So this is the shower change table 1000. This comes in adult and child size as well. So this is also 70 inches long. These are mostly used for individual homes as well because it's a single use. You're not going to have multiple people using it, and it doesn't take up a lot of space in the home because you can see the coated canvas hammock type mattress with the holes in it. It can be in the shower. And that's the coated canvas, really durable coated canvas. It's pretty tight. It looks like a hammock version, but it is pretty tight. Okay, so those tables I just went over, the Presslet 1000, 2000, 3000. Um, the all of those tables are available in adult size. The adult 3000 is 75 inches long. 2000, 1000 are 70 inches long. And they also come in the 1000 and the 3000 come in child versions 55 inches long. The 2000 2100 only comes in adult size versions. Okay, so we have 1000, 3000 adult and child. We have 2000 adult. Now let's add more to it. All of these tables come in height adjustable, electric, or fixed height. So you're probably asking, why would you need a fixed height table? For public, it's not as recommended because you do have to lift, but sometimes we've had people that didn't have the budget. They can buy a fixed height 1000, 2000, 2100, or 3000 a fixed height, and then later buy the wall unit, electrical components, and the hand control and turn that into a height adjustable table. So you can do that on the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 fixed height, and you can just change out the wall unit for the height adjustment. So I'll pause there for a minute and see if I confused anyone on difference between fixed height and height adjustable, child and adult size. Any questions on those?
Yeah, a few questions coming in here.
Yes.
And I guess for me on the fixed height versus height adjustable, my ultimate question is, do both meet code? Whether this be ADA in general, or is there a requirement for a height adjustability in these universal change tables?
Usually in public high occupancy places where they're putting in the building code, they are requiring adult size, height adjustable, at least 70 inches long, and clearance at the head or foot 36 inches, and on the long side 36 inches. Now, California, being as California usually are, they have a different, they dance to a different beat. They require in public places high occupancy 36 inches at the head and foot. And architects do not like that because it's like that adds 6 feet to the room. It depends on the specific jurisdiction. Sometimes the states did put in place things before the building code. So in the US, it's really confusing because you have to look at each state and see what they require. But those are the main requirements for high occupancy height adjustment. But for other places that are not, falling on that building code, they can use a fixed height if they like.
Perfect. And just on that point with the various states, one thing I'll mention, and I'll plug our wonderful marketing team at ATS.
Yeah.
We started a few years back putting together a breakdown state by state of which locations had specific change table requirements and barrier-free requirements. So I'll show you at the end of the presentation that you can find that. We've got a couple questions on the kind of replaceability of that canvas,
Yes.
or even the ability to put like a disposable plastic cover on it. Is there concern about, I guess, hygienic practices of this high traffic areas?
Mm-hmm. In the high traffic areas, that's why the coated canvas is highly recommended because it is a durable, non-porous coated canvas that can easily be wiped and disinfected. So those are really popular in the areas because they can really be cleaned easily. With the 3000, it is polyurethane. It can also be cleaned. And then also what we do is we recommend the cleaning supplies and they test them. So on the website, we have all the cleaning supplies that have been tested to disinfect. And then sometimes I had a customer one time where they said, I'm working with the hospital, they only use this. And we actually, they sent that to me and I sent it and they tested it on the tables. And we tested 2 different ones and one worked and one did not. One did show discoloration. So that's why we do have a list, and if someone has a clean, like hospitals have their own cleaning, we can send that, get it approved, and once it's approved, it adds to the list. So we keep building that list of cleaning approved cleaning supplies. But yeah, they're pretty easy to clean. And those mattresses, after a while, as you notice, the insert on the 1,000, on the 2,000, they insert, so you can just zip those off and buy those separately. Orlando Airport had a lot of them. They just recently bought another round of mattresses. So switching out is really easy. Even electronics, plug and play. I had one table near my home it's like 10 years old. It was a 3000 and it stopped working. And we went and checked it out. We put a new hand control on it and it started back working. So between the hand control actuator control box, you have a new table. So it's pretty easy plug and play replace as well.
And then a couple of installation questions here. One, I guess, more on a general layout of a universal washroom, asking about the requirements for a floor drain in the room.
Yes.
So kind of 2 points there. One, there is a drain connection on the change table itself.
Yes.
What's the requirement for that drain connection? Is it a flexible hose? Does it have to have an indirect connection? Does it run to a
Mhm.
floor drain or a hard pipe?
Very good question. And I've got a funny story about that as well. The Presslet 3000 and 2000, they both come with water collection trays, drain at the bottom, and the hose comes with the table. So the hose comes with it, and it can go to a floor drain. I had one guy call me, an installer. He said, "Well, I have the inspector has a question about the drain hose if it's wide enough, and they're, to be graphic, oh, can something get stuck in that hose, and is that hose really working?" So sometimes I have to be very, very honest and very, very frank, and sometimes very, very uncensored by saying, okay, it is a table, and even if somebody took a giant poop on the table, it's not going to go down the drain because
Yeah.
there is a mattress that covers it. And then she just said, yeah, but they were one, he was working on a floor drain. And I said, let's stop for a second. Is that table in a shower? He says, no. I said, so you're debating questions over the with the inspector over the pipe, the hose, and you're creating a floor drain, and there's no shower. I said, so there you go. You could use a change table instead of a shower change table to have less headache. So that is a good example of not putting a shower change table in a dry room where there's no shower, because then you're going to have all kind of questions about the drain on the bottom, the hose. I've walked in some public places that do not have a shower, and they have the drain hose hanging on the table in midair. And don't tell anybody, but I'd take the hose and leave it. I'll leave the table and I'll remove the hose and not leave it standing there, because if there's no shower, there doesn't need to be a hose.
Yeah. Well, and just on the floor drain aspect as well, in terms of universal washrooms, if you
Yes.
have electronic fixtures, there would be a floor drain requirement by barrier-free code for, say, your electronic flush valves and faucets. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It's not necessarily always going to be the change table that requires the floor drain. It may be the other fixtures in the universal washroom. And just one
Right.
last question here on installation. Is there a difference in, we talked about the differences in the product from the 1000 and 2000, 3000. What about in the installation requirements for each of those? Is there a different level of wall support or backing required for the 3000 versus, say, the 1000?
None whatsoever. It's the same exact wall reinforcement. And what architects like to hear, well, actually, contractors like to hear, the wall unit that supports that table, the frame of that sits on the floor. So that frame sits on the floor. So all you really have to do, the crossbar that goes across the top, that's the only section that needs to be reinforced. And I've been on site with some installations before. And once that table sits on the floor, and there's bolts across the top, once that's reinforced, it is very, very solid. And there's two more bolts down by the feet. But yes, you only have to reinforce the top part of the crossbar on the wall unit with the cover off. You can see it behind the cover. And we have videos on that shows step by step, that shows everything except the wall reinforcement. But yeah, you only have to reinforce it, because the top part, because the frame does stand on the floor.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think we've got all the questions dialed in for now. So let's keep learning on.
All right, keep them coming. So that brings us to a change table, which a public restroom, high volume, high traffic. I've got some examples of where these tables are. Um, and usually I call it unsupervised room, where it is a public restroom, where there is no, it's unlocked, unlimited supervision. This video I showed the designers in this video that designed the table, probably in 2019. And the reason we designed this table, because in Europe, where Presslet is located, 90% of the change tables in Europe are in showers, are in wet rooms. And then when we became a manufacturer, or anyone that became a implementation in the US, they were selling the shower change table in dry environments, and it was overkill. It was more expensive. So we had them to design a table for the US market that is no frills, clean, no shower, change table. So this is called the CT4000, and in the US, we also call it the Versamax as well. Let me go back.
And my name is Annemette Thyssen.
We are designers at Presslet.
And we would like to present the new changing table. This new changing table was designed with the intention to introduce a solution which is perfectly suited for public bathrooms and the need of both children and adults.
Care providers often find themselves in public places without the necessary facilities when in need of changing. Users are often left with the option of changing their loved ones on a dirty and wet restroom floor, a very undignifying situation with a high risk of infection. This prevents individuals and families from going on trips and eating at restaurants or take part in public events. That's why we designed the new changing table to enable individuals and families to go out and enjoy everything the world has to offer. The new changing table has a minimalistic and aesthetically pleasing design. The surface is made from high-quality compact laminate, a very durable material which is water and vandal proof, as well as easy to wipe and clean.
The full-length safety rail with no latch openings ensures that arms and legs are kept safely inside, as well as providing the user with the feeling of privacy.
All edges are rounded to make it comfortable to both grip and lean on. Integrated grab bars allow the person on the changing table to help out when repositioning. To provide better access for the caregiver, the safety rail curves down at the center, and the safety rail can fold away below the table. The table is electrically height adjustable with switches placed conveniently close to the caregiver. This can also be done with the remote control, which is also used for folding the table up and down, providing compact storage when not in use. The mattress can easily be attached to provide extra comfort.
The attachment is strong, straightforward, and prevents the mattress from sliding, both when in use and in folded position.
The mattress can be turned over to double its lifespan. To enhance safety, the changing table was designed with a comfortable safety belt, which is easily attached and releases quickly. The buckle is made from strong plastic to make sure that it feels warm and comfortable against bare skin.
The changing table was designed with a high focus on hygiene.
All the nooks and crannies of the construction are sealed away, and the smooth compact laminate offers a surface which is quick and easy to clean. Even the mattress is made from smooth, easy to clean fabric and detaches easily to allow cleaning underneath. This focus on hygiene and functionality will improve the user experience and minimize the risk of infection.
Okay, so this, that is the, I'll just leave this. This is what we're going to talk about next. That is the CT4000/4100, and that's a different table as well. The CT4000 is a manual fold, and the CT4100 is the electrical fold. You saw in that video where you can fold it with a hand control. So that is the 4100. That is a great table, but choose your environment for that, because when you put the 4100 in a public restroom, unsupervised, sometimes people think they can close it with their hands, and they'll pull it and they'll disengage the folding actuator. The 4100 is probably one of the few, if not the only, electrical folding and electric height adjustments. That's usually best in clinics or supervised environment where they're walking in the room, their hands are full. But in a public environment, the 4000 manual fold is plenty. I've had to change out some lying surfaces because they banged them up because of that. But that table, again, it is laminate, non-porous, cleaning surface, easy to clean, easy to wipe. Notice the buttons are on the table integrated. So like places like Pittsburgh Pirates, Newark, New Jersey Airport, they chose not to use the hand control because that's one less thing to break. So you can fold it manually and do the up and down buttons on the table. So it comes with the hand control, but you can choose not to use the hand control and just use the buttons if you don't want a lot of things in the restroom that are going to fall, break, get stepped on. Now with the electrical fold, it can be folded electrically with the hand control, or there's a wall unit that you can add to it, and you can up and down folding with a wall control box. But note, you can only use the box or the hand remote, because there's only a few 3 ports for the table, the hand control, or the wall control unit. So that table is very, 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 very popular. And airports, like I said, I mentioned Newark, New Jersey Airport, Pittsburgh Airport, Michigan. Which one is, I forgot the one in Michigan. I've been there 3 times, but Michigan Airport, I can't remember which one it is. It'll come to me later. I'll just blurt it out suddenly. But that's the high traffic, less complicated, less moving parts. And sometimes in parks, they choose to use it without the mattress, because it's a non-porous elevating surface where it can easily be cleaned, wiped, and go. Because sometimes with the mattress, even though it connects on with the eyelets, sometimes people like to poke and move things. But it is kind of like a puncture resistant mattress that it kind of gives, rubbery type, but that works as well. So any questions on the CT 4000 public restroom table?
Nothing coming in yet. Honestly, from my opinion, it seems like a really great product. Like, I know the compact laminate is just a great product for public environments when it comes to partitions and wall paneling. So it would make sense that it's carries great durability in this application as well.
And simple, easy to use. And that was designed for the US market in 2019. That's where it started. So it's been very, very popular. No problems with repair. Minimal. I don't think there's any vandalism problems. If somebody tries to take the mattress, because they're not going, I've talked to special needs moms that have, teenagers that require changing. And they said, we're not going there for a nap. We're changing. So we want to get in and out as quick as possible. But speaking of, another thing I just want to kind of mention, we do have a new product called Presslet Connect, where sometimes people do worry about people sleeping on the tables or staying on the tables too long. So now we do have another add-on product that you can, well, it's not retrofit. You can get the product where it has a device. It's called Presslet Connect by Presslet, where it shows if there's prolonged use, if somebody's sleeping on it, or if it's overload where more than one person is on the table. Believe it or not, that happens sometimes. And when it's not supposed to, or if kids are jumping up and down on impact. So you can set that up where it can email someone to let them know that there's something going on with the table. You can go check it, or after it's been used, it can email housekeeping and let them know the table was just used, so they can go clean it right away. So that's called Connect by Presslet. That's something that we just released, and that can be added to any of the height adjustable tables as well. This is my favorite part of the program, where I get to talk to the architects, and I like to just show examples of rooms that I've been in, either physically or in my mind, about how the room can be configured. Now in the US, I'm not sure if there's difference in Canada, but in public restrooms, you only have a few choices. The toilet has to go in a corner with the grab bars. And 9 times out of 10, the sink will be on the same wall as the toilet due to water supply. And all architects know the clearance that you need around the toilet, the clearance you need around the sink, the turning radius in the room. So then I always ask the architects, what is the smallest that room could be? Because that's what we always ask. And we beg of people who said, the architects, just please make the family restroom a little bit larger for the table, or it's not going to be able to go in. So around, you can see the different configurations. 9 times out of 10, you can do it either way you want, but the table away from the toilet as much as possible, because that grab bar that comes out, that could be 60 inches from the wall, and you're taking up space. So usually if the table is close to, you know, the door that doesn't interfere with the door, near the sink that doesn't interfere with the sink, so you still have your turning radius. So those are just some examples of where to start, of knowing the toilet and sink have its place. You have your turning radius, and where else can the table go? If you're designing it from scratch, you can know, because I don't think an architect has ever asked me, I want to make this room as big as possible. How big can I really make it? Never hear that question. I hear, you know, I need to keep this as small as possible. What's the most, you know, how small can I make this and fit everything in? Because that's what happens. So you really want to kind of discuss everything so there's no change orders, so the owner doesn't get mad after the architect has drawn it out. Any questions on the floor plans, designs?
Nothing coming in, and just give you a quick heads up. We are approaching the end of the hour here, so I don't know how much more we got to.
All right, not much more. I just want to give a couple of examples, putting all the pieces together. And then when we were in Pittsburgh, we actually did some filming of, you know, why you actually need a family restroom. And it's typically a mom and her autistic son, as you know, mom is 4'11" and the son is 6 feet, 200 pounds. So, or a dad and his daughter in a wheelchair. So it can be due to wheelchairs, it can do sensory issues. So sometimes they ask in the family restroom where there is a changing table, you know, maybe try to avoid the automatic flushing toilets or the hand dryers, because if someone needs changing, they could have sensory issues as well. So that could be a deterrent or kind of a stressor. So in a family restroom, that's pretty easy. But this is Patty and her son Jordan, and she just has a little bit to say about what she thinks about public restrooms.
If I could speak to an architect, I would say you're already making the room big enough. Those family changing areas are huge rooms. And there's a lot of wasted space, I think. So putting an adult size changing table that could go up and down, and a sink that could go up and down, that could accommodate people in wheelchairs or someone with Alzheimer's. I mean, there's so many people this could affect. The room's already big enough. I don't think it would be that much more of an accommodation to put that in there.
Many individuals have no idea what is not accessible. They do not realize the standard ADA bathroom is not accessible for everyone.
I would say to someone that thinks they're compliant with ADA, you might be, but is that enough? Is that good customer service? Are you accommodating everybody you could, or are you just doing the basic minimum that you need to do by law? That's not great customer service. That's not being accommodating. That's just doing what you need to do to pass code.
The safety of both me and the care provider is vital, and that's one reason the height adjustable tables are so important.
So these were real life people that we spoke with. Patty and her son, they live in Pittsburgh, and she mentioned that Jordan loves Pittsburgh Pirates games, but they've never been able to stay to a full game because halfway through, she would need to get him home to change him because he's too big for her to put him on the floor and put him back. So that was 3 years ago. So now we are happy to report that now Pittsburgh Pirates does have an adult size changing table. And Jordan was actually go to his first game and stay from beginning to end. Mom was able to change him. They were able to come back. His entire room is Pittsburgh Pirates. So that's one way it really, really hits home when someone can actually use an adult size changing table. People always ask, do I need a baby changing table in the family restroom if I do the adult size? No, because sometimes they like to change with babies as well, because moms can put their diaper bag on the table without putting it on the floor and leaving the child. So you can actually just kind of use one table fits all for everyone. So that's kind of our talk on adult size changing tables. Now I do represent Presslet. There are different manufacturers, and now since 2019, there are even more manufacturers out. There's more competition for this. Since 2019, there weren't many adult size changing tables, but now they're coming. There's going to be other manufacturers, but just do your research on what makes it what fits your needs. And the main thing I think is customer service, is response time, is warranty. We do offer a 5-year warranty, and we help our independent agents and our reps to take care of their customers. If I have someone in a different state that sold a table within that 5 years, they can contact me. I would make sure they get the parts. So really look at that warranty, that response time, talking to a live person. You call that number right now and press 4, you will get my cell phone. So you got a live person anytime, 24 hours, even though we're open, a certain time, but that's connected to my cell phone as well. So any other thoughts, questions? I'm available. And let me know if you have any thoughts.
Well, I think just on that point as well, when it comes to the customer service, that's one of the reasons that Presslet has partnered with ATS as well. How you provide the ability to, put the product into your spec in an easier fashion is great custom aspect of the customer service. And it's been, we've done a lot of work with you guys over the last 5 years, and certainly watched the market grow together. These are becoming far more prevalent. I know a number of firms are putting these onto their standard templates, their standard masters for repeat work. So beyond stadiums, hospitals, we're starting to see it go into more and more commercial areas as well. Because as that they say in that message, one of the things I remember from a previous presentation that really left an impact on me from those interviews was someone saying, they're not going to come unless the ability to, use the restroom is there. And just being ADA does not always mean that it's actually accessible. So once I remember there was a coffee shop and they made the ramp better, they made the door wider, they truly built accessibility into this coffee shop. And then they started having a tremendous amount of customers come in that needed to use these type of facilities. And until they exist, they won't, people won't shun. So I did want to quickly just highlight, in case this is anyone's first time at an ATS university, again, ATS is a product selection tool. We partner with a number of different manufacturers, about 40 different manufacturers, from everything, we've got for your HVAC engineers, the PTAC and Newware products, for your plumbing engineers, everything from drains and pumps and water heaters to whoever's selecting the toilets and fixtures these days. You never know whether that's the architect, the interior designer, or your plumbing engineer, but whoever's selecting your sinks and faucets or making sure that your basin meets barrier-free code, that's kind of who we are catering to. And of course, on the architectural interior design side, everything from change tables to your partitions, your accessories, to put together a complete universal washroom. And all of that's available free of charge, paid for by our lovely partners and manufacturers. Simple sign-up process. You can share projects within your firm, and I'll show you how you can do that. One thing I want to highlight first before we go too far, if you go to this Architects and Engineers tab at atxspec.com, go to the Learning Hub. We will have the webinar recording, so this presentation will be available there later on today. And if you go to the knowledge base, we've had a couple of barrier-free updates in Canada. So we are updating, we've got our new barrier-free requirements breakdown, like a quick sheet, quick guide for BC. We've got those in the past for ADA and for various states as well. Then, of course, is special needs change tables required in your state. From all the way from barrier-free locker design to like how to size certain products. So a lot of different handy guides. And then once you're logged in, you can share projects within your firm. So if I'm, WSP or Stantec, and I'm working on a project with my colleague in Vancouver, we can share that same project within our file. We have 3 different types of folders within ATS. Essentially, we're just creating different levels of detail within those folders. A quick spec is just as it sounds, the fastest way to get a product info. Your next level up is a project where you have a specific location and you select an application. So if you were doing, the new Michigan International Airport that we were talking about, you would create a project, you would select Michigan, you were going to then get the local barrier-free code or ADA, whichever one is more detailed. You're going to select your high traffic applications in airports, and it's going to recommend products that are suitable for those applications. Plus, we have these ATS templates, which is basically our recommendations for the specific application that you're using. So you'll have a different product recommended for a airport versus a prison versus a hospital versus a long-term care facility versus a school or an office. And if you have your own standards, those are our recommendations for ATS templates. If you have your own standards, your own repeat work for healthcare, engineering firm, XYZ's hospital guide, or architectural firms, standard universal washroom, you could create a master, which is for your repeat work. And I'll show you how that assists in driving projects quickly. So all you do is hit this little quick action. We're going to type in change table, and we're going to go hit finish, and we're into our product selection. We have all these different categories that I mentioned. I'm going to hide my face here. So all the different categories. So you can see I've got some pinned here. These are my favorites. I could sort by different divisions. I can search by keywords. So I search change table. You can see we've got the baby and the adult change tables. We'll jump into the change table category. Here's the most commonly selected, that 2100 series that we had talked about. But we can also search for that 4000 that we had referenced. So once we're looking at this, we can actually configure this. So this is one of the key differences of ATS versus just going to, any of the manufacturer's websites, whether it's, Bobrick.com or Presslet.com or whoever. You're going to actually get the customized model number matching your selection. So as we select an option, we update our model number, update our list price if available. We can hit add product, and now we've added this into the folder that we created. We could add another drawing and go back into the change table category and select a second option. So if we want to provide our owner with, hey, here's two different options. This one is more suited for the shower area. This one's more suited for public areas. You can see it's pre-generated some labels. Of course, we can update and edit our labels. We can call this CT2. And then we could download and get like a brochure format. Something like this. I did pre-download. I always assume I'm going to be running a little bit late. And this would give you, the manufacturer spec sheet you could get as well, or our submittal drawing, which shows exactly the configured model number. Or you could get a written spec. We've got 3 different types of written specs. One of the formats will certainly fit how your firm goes to market, including, of course, the CSI 3-part spec. And all of these are open and editable, but you can just copy and paste this into your own documentation. That's the entire point, is we're trying to provide a product selection tool that makes it fast and easy to get exactly what you are specifying and not just the generic model, and then deliver it in, we've got 10 different formats, from Revit files to Excel files in, if you need a fixture schedule, the multiple PDFs, the multiple Word formats. And then I wanted to show just really quickly, because I recognize I'm just at the hour here. If we go to the masters and templates, if we pre-built, let's say, our universal washroom template that we talked about, or here I can go to my high traffic master template, and I can go to my accessories. I could get, here's our template. So this is our recommendations. We could get a hand dryer, an access door, all our appropriate grab bars, soap dispensers, your toilet tissue. I thought there was a change table in that one. Maybe I skipped it. We'll do our class A, and then go again to We can grab our CT4000 here that I mentioned, and we can drag and drop this and put this into our documentation. So if you have a standard, here's our couple of grab bars, backrest, paper towel dispenser, soap dispenser, shower seats, access doors, anything else you need, we could drag and drop from our approved selections. This would be from our master, our universal washroom master, and just drag and drop and have our approved selections in a matter of minutes. One of the benefits of having your master on the spec tool is that, let's say Presslet discontinues the 2100 or updates the model number from the 2100 and goes to call it instead they go to like the Versamax nomenclature instead of the CT4000. We would update your project and notify you, hey, this product has been discontinued, or there's been a major change to this product. And we do that to help keep your masters up to date and keep your projects up to date. So that's one of the key benefits of having your master on the spec tool, not just the simplicity and ease of that product configuration, but getting automatic updates, making sure it's relevant and meeting your barrier-free code. And of course, having my entire team there to help you. We will do takeoffs. You can send us your floor plans. My team will do a takeoff of your universal washroom and recommend the products for you. If you have specialty questions, a deep dive questions on change tables, we would introduce you to our colleagues like Daryl and have a deep dive discussion, making sure that the right product is going to the right application for you. So we'll help keep your specs up to date. We'll make sure that it's easy and fast to configure and get exactly what you're looking for. And we'll provide any support that we can to ensure that you are happy and satisfied with our manufacturer's product. Thank you very much for spending the time with us today. Hopefully you guys found some value in it. If you would like a deeper dive, or if you would like us to assist with a master's review to make sure that you have the right change table in your firm's projects or your next project, feel free to reach out to me, zach@atsspec.com. We'll bring Daryl into the conversation. We can all jump on a Teams meeting, or maybe he'll fly me into his favorite airport and we'll go catch a Pirates game. I guess we'll see you again soon. Thank you all for attending. Last chance, if anyone has not yet put your AIA number into the Q&A tab, I'll keep it running for another minute here, and then we'll be sure to get those sent out to Daryl for the reporting.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for your time today. Have a great
Thank you,
one.
Zach. Thanks everyone.